Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so you've given us this really fascinating set of sources today, taking us behind the scenes of, well, a TV giant, America's Got Talent. And this stuff covers, everything. The prize money, which is not what you think, the weird patterns in who wins, even some pretty wild production stories. So our mission here is to cut through that shiny stage look and show the gap between the TV magic and, frankly, the sometimes chaotic reality.
It's a great collection of material, yeah. And it really highlights how much engineering goes into what you see. We'll hit three main areas, but let's start with something that kind of flips assumptions right away. A detail about the show's structure. It's actually pretty ironic, given the name America's Got Talent, that the core judging panel, the long-term ones, they're mostly not American.
Right. Okay, let's unpack that. Because you watch the show, it's this huge American primetime thing, and you just sort of assume the judges, the main faces, are, American stars. But the sources say, not really.
Not the long-term fixtures, no. If you look at who's been there a while, it's surprisingly international. Simon Cowell, he's British. Heidi Klum is German. Howie Mandel, Canadian. And Mel B, who was there for quite a while, she's British too.
Wow. A German, a Canadian, two Brits judging America's talent.
Exactly. It's a global panel deciding on what we're told is American talent.
So does that actually change anything? Like, does having judges from different countries affect who gets picked? Maybe they lean away from, super regional American acts.
Well, it seems to connect to a bigger picture, because it's not just the judges. The whole production strategy is global. The notes we have show producers are actively scouting all over the world. They often bring acts that have already done well on other Got Talent shows from other countries right onto the U.S. version.
Ah, okay. So it's less about finding unknown local talent and more about curating the best acts from a global franchise.
Kind of, yeah. It's strategic.
Yeah.
It guarantees that high-level, really polished talent every single season. It basically makes AGT the kind of global finale for the best acts the franchise can find.
And pulling that off, getting that global quality, that must take some serious production muscle. Which is where these notes get really interesting.
Right.
Because what looks so smooth on TV, it sounds like it was pretty rough behind the scenes sometimes.
Oh, yeah. The effort to make it look seamless is huge. There's this one specific story in the notes about the season 20 opener, the big 20th anniversary number.
Yeah.
Looked amazing, right? Like one continuous performance.
Yeah, I remember that. Looked flawless.
Well, the sources detailed just how much sweat went into it, literally. They mentioned extreme heat, the AC breaking down right during filming.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and production delays, like 2 or 3 hours behind schedule. They even had to change security setups for the red carpet part because of the chaos.
Get out.
Right.
So you've got these world-class acts scouted globally, and the set can't even handle a hot day.
That's the illusion versus reality right there.
So despite all that, the heat, the delays, the AC failing, the production team filmed that whole sequence 3 separate times.
3 times?
3 times. Then they took all those takes, spliced them, edited them, basically engineered them together to create that perfect version you saw at home. It's a massive effort hidden behind that effortless look.
Okay, so that's the production commitment. Let's switch gears to the show's financial commitment, because the biggest thing, the hook, is that $1 million prize, isn't it?
Right.
It's the dream.
Right.
But looking at these documents, that number is, let's just say, more complicated than it sounds.
Yeah, this is classic marketing versus the actual math. That $1 million figure is mostly symbolic. The winner almost never gets a check for $1 million up front. The sources lay out the 2 real options they face. The disclaimer that flashes by super fast at the end.
I never actually read that.
Well, option 1 is a long-term payout. It's a financial annuity. They pay out the $1 million, but over 40 years.
40 years. Seriously? 40 years. Which works out to about $25,000 a year. Before taxes, obviously.
Okay, $25K a year is nice, but it's not quit your job, buy a mansion money.
Not immediately, no. It's a steady income, but not life-altering wealth in one go.
So what's option 2? The lump sum.
Option 2 is the present cash value. And this is where it gets tricky, because the prize is technically that 40-year annuity. If you want the money now, they have to calculate what that future stream of payments is worth today.
Ah, like discounting it back.
Exactly. They factor in interest rates, inflation risk, all that.
Yeah.
So the lump sum is way, way lower than $1 million.
Yeah.
Forbes looked into this once and estimated it was around $300,000.
$300,000 out of $1 million.
Roughly.
Yeah.
And this is key, that's before taxes.
Wow. Okay, so the choice is basically a small income for decades, or maybe a couple $100,000 now, after tax.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
It highlights that the real value for winners is often the exposure, the platform, maybe the Vegas show.
Right, the Vegas show. That's the other big part of the prize package. Headlining in Vegas, that's always been part of it, hasn't it?
Actually, no, not always guaranteed from the start. The sources clarify that while winners now get that headlining gig, it wasn't really locked in as a formal part of the prize until around season 3.
Huh. So it evolved over time.
It did. It went from maybe happening to being a guaranteed thing.
Okay. And talking about commitment, we also need to touch on the contestants' personal commitment. Because sometimes life just intervenes.
Right.
Even in the middle of this huge competition.
It does, and that raises some really difficult points about the human cost.
Huh.
The sources mention a very memorable and quite sad example. Nightbird Jane Marchevsky from season 16.
I remember her. Her audition was incredible. The golden buzzer.
Exactly. Simon's golden buzzer. Sent her straight to the live shows. Her song, It's Okay, just blew up everywhere. But before the quarterfinals, her health, her battle with cancer, it got nice. And she had to officially withdraw from the competition. It was just a really stark public reminder of the immense personal sacrifices involved, far beyond just showing up to perform.
Yeah, that was heartbreaking. Okay, let's shift focus a bit now, from the personal side to the statistics, because the data on who actually wins AGT in the US reveals this incredibly specific pattern. It almost feels fixed. I kept reading this line in the notes over and over. No female solo act over the age of 12 has ever won the US version. Is that really true? That sounds unbelievable.
It is true. It's a really striking pattern, consistent across the show's entire history. And it says a lot about maybe what the American voting audience connects with in a solo female performer.
So give us the examples.
Okay, well, the very first winner, Bianca Ryan, back in season 1, 2006. She was 11.
11, yeah.
And probably the most famous young winner, Grace Vanderwaal. She won at age 12. And she's still the oldest female solo act to ever win.
12 is the oldest.
12 is the cutoff, apparently. The analysis points out that any other women who have won were either, younger than 13, or they were part of a group, like dancers or acrobats, not a solo singer or musician.
That's wild. It's like there's this unwritten rule or bias in the voting.
It certainly looks that way from the data. And what's interesting is, while that pattern has stayed completely rigid for almost 2 decades, the show has actually made some moves towards more transparency in other areas, like how the judges make their cuts.
You mean the judge cuts round? That used to feel like a blur, just quick clips and then boom, you're in or you're out.
Exactly. For years, it was mostly slick montages. You didn't really see the debates or the tough decisions. But the sources mentioned that in 2020, they changed the format.
How so?
They deliberately showed more of the actual process. You saw the judges sitting down, reviewing the acts who got a yes in the auditions, really debating the ones on the bubble.
Ah, so you saw the arguments.
You saw the deliberation, how they actually whittled down that huge group to the ones going to the live shows. It's the first time they really pulled back the curtain on that part of the process, showing how much influence the panel has before the public ever gets to vote. A bit more honesty about their role.
Okay, so quite a journey today. We went from the behind-the-scenes chaos of filming an opener,
Right.
through the reality check on the $1 million prize, more like $300K maybe,
You've kicked a lump sum, yeah.
and ended up looking at this really specific, almost bizarrely consistent pattern about who wins, especially regarding young female soloists.
Yeah, the key things for you, the listener, to take away are really about that gap between the shiny package and the, let's say, grittier details. The prize money's real structure, the global machine behind the American show judges, talent scouting, and that very specific winner statistic that hasn't changed.
We really did peel back the curtain, moving from the big illusion to the fine print and the hard numbers in these sources.
And maybe here's something to think about, connecting those threads. We know that producers actively scout talent worldwide, right? They bring in top-tier acts from the entire Global Got Talent network to compete on the U.S. show.
Right, the best of the best.
So the question is, if they're pulling from this massive global professional talent pool, why has that specific demographic pattern for female solo winners, 12 years old or younger, stayed exactly the same for the show's entire run in the U.S., despite all that global input? That's something interesting to mull over as you think about this material.
Definitely something to think about. Thanks for diving deep with us today. Go check out those sources for yourself.